Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery here. Today is Friday, August 30th, 2024. It's the last day of the month. A pleasure to be with you. We get together most weekday mornings at this time to talk about strategies, tips, techniques, share success stories, and support each of you. We won't be having a Zoom session on Monday because it's a national holiday, Labor Day. Today, we're going to talk about something that's very, very relevant if you're involved with being one of our distribution partners, because I think what you'll agree are two things. Number one, there's absolutely no shortage of small business owners, otherwise known as entrepreneurs, that want and need capital. And at the same time, there's no shortage of banks and lenders. But secondly, most of those small businesses don't qualify for funding. They're not fundable yet. And often those entrepreneurs don't even know what it means to be fundable. So how can they fix something if they don't even understand what it means or how to become compliant? So that's a very significant part of what you and I do is we're out educating. And recently we've launched a new, more structured and free resource that we can collaborate on to help more people. And the more educated prospects you have, the more enrollments you have in the fee-based 4-week funding program. So today we're going to go through the topic, which is labeled, hopefully my screen shared here, Financial Literacy Workshops 101. We'll do a quick introduction. We're going to have glossary, talk about some key terms to make sure all of us understand what we're describing, and then we'll go through the process flow. So Financial Literacy Workshops 101. In the backdrop, you see our 501c3's website, 509pacific.org, and I'm clicked on the entrepreneurship program because, as I'll describe here in a moment, this is the curriculum that we teach. Whether it be to large groups or even individuals, this is the process that we're taking people through to help them build a strong financial literacy. And we're seeing about 90 to 91% of those that go through this will then enroll in the 4-week funding program. So, introduction. So, many of you who are distribution partners have elected to be a white label partner. There's no cost to be a white label partner. And we highlighted yesterday the benefits of that, which in summary just means you're going out to the marketplace under your branding, under your company, your image, and you're controlling the pricing. So it puts you more in control, but it doesn't burden you with the implementation. We still handle the implementation. It's like we're your back room, your back office, your administrative service provider, whatever you'd like to label us as. So many of you who are now white label partners realize that teaching these workshops is very rewarding, both, I guess, from a satisfactory perspective of helping others, but it's probably the best way to build a big pipeline into your paying clients. We talked recently about, well, certainly we can go out and find individuals to attend a workshop. That's not really the model that we've set forth. Our goal is to work with key influencers. And so we're going to go through the glossary and make sure we have a common understanding of these terms before we go to the process flow itself. So the first term we have in our glossary is that of a key influencer. This is someone who has a sphere of influence over others. So it could be a bishop or a pastor of a church. It could be someone that just works in the business space, a CPA, a tax preparer, a bookkeeper. It could be Chamber of Commerce executives. Some of you have been looking at Meetup Group. So it's the administrator of the Meetup Group. But the key influencer is just a term that means it's someone that if we could get them on board, then we could set up a workshop and we could work through them to reach a larger number of people rather than you and I trying to find a bunch of individuals. So let me pause there. We have the Q&A box. It's like a chat box of Zoom. Is everyone okay on what a key influencer is? I want to make sure that we're all on the same page as we give these titles out, because we're going to talk about the process flow. And if you don't understand this glossary here, then the process flow won't make sense. So is everyone good on what a key influencer is? The two simplest examples would be the CEO of a Chamber of Commerce. So if you got the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce on board and we're going to do a workshop, the CEO of the Chamber could push the message out to the Chamber members and help drive registrations. Or if we're thinking from a church or a faith-based perspective, if you're able to get that faith-based leader, that pastor, that bishop, the priest, whatever their title may be, and whatever type of religion it is, if you have that key person, that key influencer on board, they can facilitate pushing it out, awareness out of the workshop to their sphere of influence. Okay, so I think we're good there. So then we have the role of the host. So the host is someone or an organization that is helping us promote the workshop. So could we have a workshop without a host? You could, but it'd be so difficult, right? Because it'd be real easy for you and I just to say, okay, we're going to start having this 4-week curriculum and we'll do it Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Central. Great. Well, we've got a workshop plan. Great. But how are we going to get the butts in the seats, as they would say? And again, this is online, but how would we get the attendees? Oh, goodness, that's where the work is. So what we want to do is not start with setting up some day and time, because that's meaningless if we don't have a conduit to get attendees. But if we work with hosts and key influencers, then these are the individuals or the entities that we can co-brand the workshop with. So include their information. We can do a revenue share with them if you would like, from the perspective of the conversions, which we'll talk about in a moment. All right, so let's move on. White label partners, I think you all know what that is, but that's now a free role within our 501c3 nonprofit, and our white label partners are responsible for facilitating the improvement of financial literacy and access to capital of others. And so what we've done now is kind of break it up into two pieces. We have the educational campaign, which is here on 509pacific.org entrepreneurship program. So we teach people what it means to become fundable. And then let me flip over. So then those that want our help then would enroll in the 4-week business funding program that you all offer as a white label partner under your contract, your branding. We've provided each of you who have signed up as a white label partner an editable agreement. So this is what the consumers are getting. So this is the implementation side. This is the education side. What we're finding is if we educate them first, about 9 out of 10 will enroll in the implementation side because they need the help. They need the resources. Okay, so let's go back to our glossary. And then workshops. So workshops are not different than what you're seeing in the background here. So a workshop is the overall title that's composed of 4 sessions. And so we have session 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, some of you said, well, why don't we just do this all at once in one block? Well, you're missing the point if that's what you're thinking, because we want to talk about having a business plan and then help them create a business plan. We want to talk about having a business that's formed properly and then helping them form a business properly if they don't have that. We talk about business credibility, the 3 C's. So we teach them what that means here, but then in the following week, we work with them to help them have the credibility across the 3 C's. So if we just compressed all 4 weeks together at one time, then there's no implementation time, right? We're just talking. But here we talk and then we do. We talk and then we do. Implement, in other words. Hopefully that makes sense. So when you hear us say the word workshop, one workshop has all 4 of these sessions in it. Does that make sense? One workshop is with typically one host, 4 sessions. All right, moving on. Now, when we talk about conversions, I made reference to that a moment ago. So a conversion is an individual who attended this workshop, went through the 4 sessions, and then they turned around and enrolled in the 4-week funding program through you, the white label partner. And there is a cost for them to enroll in this. There's no cost for this education. It's free, free, free. It says free, it's free. No cost for the education. But for them to enroll in the 4-week business funding program that includes a lot of deliverables, there is a cost. It's a great deal. And the cost they pay is actually a refundable deposit. So they will have a cost, but they get it back from the grant. And we split that 50-50 with you. So anyone that enrolls in the 4-week business funding program, you're making $1,000 profit each time. So if you start to do the math and think about this a little bit, okay, so let's say we had a small workshop, just a small one through a church, we'll say, had 10 people that went through the 4 weeks, the workshop. Statistically, 9 out of 10 of them will turn around and enroll with you in the 4-week business funding program. So 90% of 10 is 9. You're making $1,000 upfront profit in your pocket. So from that one workshop, you've made $9,000. I mean, if we just did this cycle once a month, you could very reasonably make $9,000 or $10,000 a month. Now, we don't have to just limit to working with one host. We could have multiple workshops going on with multiple churches, multiple chambers, multiple groups and organizations. That's up to you. So that's the beauty when we set up the white label partner model. We're putting you in charge. You're the CEO of your business under your branding. We're providing the programming, the resources, and the back office to make it happen. And we just do a flat 50-50 split. So everyone wins. You're getting 50% for kind of the community outreach. We're getting 50% to implement. So you'll determine what the price is for the participant to go through the 4-week business funding program. Most of you are pricing that at $2,000. So if it's a 50-50 split, you're getting $1,000, we're getting $1,000. But again, that is a refundable deposit that goes back to the participant once they finish. You might say, well, what if someone doesn't have $2,000? Well, in week 1, we do go help obtain seed capital. And so we see different offers. Typically, it's not more than $50,000 to $75,000, but it'll vary based upon the client's starting point. And then once we get through the 4 weeks, then they'll have a fundable business. If you want to change the pricing on the 4-week business funding program, you can change the pricing. And if you want to allow them to make payments, you're in control of that because it's your contract they're signing. We have a contract with you, which is called the white label partnership, whereby we're providing the admin services. So conversion, again, means people that came through the program, the workshop, and then enrolled in the 4-week business funding program. So I think that's all of our glossary. Yes. So does anyone have any questions on the glossary, the different roles, the different labels before we get into the process? Okay, so Herman's asked about PowerPoint slides. So number 1, our staff teaches the curriculum. You're not responsible for teaching the curriculum. As a white label partner, you're facilitating it, but you're not teaching it. All of us that teach it have certain criteria that allows us to competently teach it. Not to suggest you, Herman, or anyone else is not, but all of us have at least a master's degree. All of us have either worked for the SBA or for a lender. All of us have gone through a credit check and a criminal background check. So not saying that all of you wouldn't pass all those criteria, but for the grant, I think there's 5 or 6 of us now that can teach this, but we'll handle the teaching. You're handling the facilitation. Now, in terms of Herman's question, certainly he's going to need to get that key influencer's commitment to offer this, and we're going to discuss that in the process. Okay, so let's move on. So now we're going to talk about the process. So let's say you've drank the Kool-Aid, as they say. So you're like, all right, I want to go set up a workshop because I want to help people and I want to make money. How do I do it? this is where we get to the process. Let me go ahead and scoot this up a little bit. So the first step in the process is you, the white label partner, WLP, you are going to use the editable press release to attract a host. So when each of you signed up as a white label partner, what happened is there's a contract for that, but there's no cost, but there's a contract. So when you sign that contract, then you should have received shortly thereafter, within 24 hours, your white label partner onboarding email. And on that onboarding email, there were 2 links to 2 different Word documents, Microsoft Word documents. One is the editable press release, which we're talking about now. So Herman, if you go look in your white label partner onboarding email, you'll have this editable press release. It's a link down towards the bottom. And then the second link is to the editable client agreement. Because again, as a white label partner, these clients are contracting with you under your branding, and we're your back office, your administrative service provider. So we're going to do the work in the background, but you're the one that's actually getting the client under contract. So the first step is we need to find some potential hosts, some organizations, some entities that might be interested. And then the best way to communicate that is to take the press release, remove our information off, put your information on, and then present it to them. And it shows them what we're going to talk about, which is really just a summary of what's on this page as well. So with that being said, then we move to step number 2. So let's say that you go talk to some prospective host, and now you have one that says, yeah, that sounds great. I know that a lot, let's say it's a bishop. A lot of my congregation is looking to start or grow a business. And obviously we want to do everything we can economically to not only help them spiritually, but help them financially. And offering this free workshop makes a lot of sense. So let's do it. So then once you, so you're doing that, you're the one interacting with the hosts, right? So once you have the host that says, yep, ready to do it, you're going to need to find out from the host, well, okay, what are the days and the times that you'd like to host it? Now, today, the recording right now is August 30th. So would we want to start a workshop that starts tomorrow, September 1st? No, because you need some time for the host to promote the workshop to their sphere of influence. So normally we'll schedule them 2 weeks out. That's normal. So there's time for the host, because who's putting the butts in the seat, quote unquote? It's the host, because the host has the relationship with their sphere of influence. So you manage the host relationship. We'll provide the materials for the host to promote it out to their congregation, their chamber membership, what have you. But ultimately, what we're trying to get to here is we're going to need to know when we're going to do it. Since it's once a week, obviously, it's going to be once a week. We recommend having the same time, same day. So we could say the example I used earlier is, okay, Wednesdays at 1 p.m. during the month of September, we're going to be doing this. Or Thursdays at 3 p.m. So in other words, it should be the same day of the week, each week, same time of the day. Now, what's the problem with that? Well, some people work, some people are taking care of their kids. There's always going to be some people that are interested that cannot make the time that's selected. It's just impossible to pick a time that's good for everyone. So they can still register. And if they miss the class, it's okay. We'll provide them a recording of that class. Now, each of these classes are not canned, so they'll be co-branded with the host. So let's say that Eric's on here, and let's say Eric brought the Atlanta Black Chamber of Commerce, for example. So the registration would be co-branded in that example to the Atlanta Black Chamber of Commerce, and then the sessions would be co-branded. So it's giving positive PR exposure for the host of how they're helping their congregation, their community. So in other words, if Eric set it up with the Atlanta Black Chamber and Susie couldn't make it week 1 because her toddler was sick, no problem. We will record this and get it to Susie. Or if someone just says, well, I'm not going to be able to make it. I work at the post office. I'm at work every day. Those times, fine. They can still register. They still get credit. We will just send them the recordings afterwards. Okay. All right. So I see that Pauline's asking, can we do these in person? We used, before COVID, we would go out in the field and teach these in person, something similar to this. But since COVID, people are pretty receptive to online learning, and it certainly cuts down the logistical constraints and the costs. So at this time, we're doing it only online via Zoom. Thank you for that question. All right, so let's go to the third step in the process. So once you have the host that says, yes, you want to do it, they want to do it, we figured out the days and times, and it works because we have to make sure that we're not already booked at that time, right? So if you said you wanted to do it Wednesdays at 1 o'clock, but we already have a workshop at that time, that's a conflict. So we'd have to say, well, we can't do it Wednesdays at 1. So that's why we nail it down together on step 2. Then we will, at no cost to you, we'll set up the registration portal, and it'll be co-branded with the host. So going back to Eric's example, it would have the logo for the Atlanta Black Chamber of Commerce. So why is this co-branding so important? Well, it's because their sphere of influence knows them and trusts them. They may not know you. They may not trust you yet. So we try to use co-branding with the host approval throughout the process. So that is step number 3. So the registration portal is set up. Then you, the white label partner, you're going to be interfacing with the host. And we can support you as need be. And for the first one, you'll probably need more support than thereafter. But essentially, we're tracking registrations because you and I will always know how many people have registered because we're controlling number 3. And so we're providing you that feedback, and then you're able to interface with the host saying, hey, it's coming up in a week. We only have 6 people registered. Is there anything else we can do to get the word out? Usually when it comes to getting the word out from the host already knows how to communicate to their sphere of influence, right? It's their organization or entity. So maybe they do email blasts or newsletters, or they announce it at church, but they'll know how to communicate to their people. So then, as I mentioned earlier, in response to Herman's question, we'll provide the educator. So we're going to teach the workshops. We're competent, capable, and we're going to offer our time to teach as many workshops as you want to have. So that frees you up to be the coordinator. You're the interface. Everyone that goes through the workshop, those are your leads. And so what did we say earlier? On average, 9 out of 10 of the people that go through the course end up enrolling in the Four-Week Business Funding Program that puts $1,000 in your pocket up front, and then you determine the back end, but normally it's 5 to 10% performance fee you're making on the back end. So you should make at least, let's just say, $10,000 per participant when you consider the front end and the back end. All right, so let's get back and wrap this up here. So our phone number is here, and of course at the bottom of the 509 website is the 501c's phone number. Charlotte is our manager of our distribution system, so she's probably your best initial point of contact, just because she has a little more bandwidth. But anything that I can help you with, let us know. Claude's asking about hours. We're real flexible. You know, we'll set up outside of normal business hours to do the workshop, so that's not a problem. We can do them in the evenings or on the weekends, as long as the host is going to probably know the best day of the week and the best time of the day to hold these. Some of these hosts are churches that have been doing the Dave Ramsey Financial Peace University, and so increasingly churches are getting involved with financial literacy as a topic, and they'll probably know when we can get the greatest participation. But since, again, we do record them, anyone that misses still gets the benefit of the information. But again, what we'd like to encourage you to do is become a white label partner. If you're not, you need help getting set up, call us and we can get you set up. And then let's go improve financial literacy using the workshops. If you've not gone through it and you want to go through it, it's real simple. Come right here to Entrepreneurship Program. And this is the general registration page. This is not specific to a given host. This is the general one. We're close to 5,000 people that have enrolled, and we're starting the first class next week. We had to go back to our Zoom and increase our capacity count with Zoom to handle this many people. But it's great. So if you want to go through it, come to 509 Pacific Entrepreneurship Program. There's a toggle here between pages, the home page versus, and so you're welcome to go through it to experience it yourself. If you have a host that's a little skeptical, have them go through the general class first. But in general, our goal is not for you to funnel people into this one, the general one. It's to set up workshops specifically with you. All right, so with that being said, let us know if there's anything that we can do. You know how to reach us. Have a great day. We'll be here today. We'll be out Monday, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.